Hey, what's up, guys? Got another new video here for you. This is the Tune In Sports. My name is Bryson.
I'm Bennett.
And we've got a NBA breakdown video for you. Kind of like the What's Your Potential videos that we did in football. Me and Bennett are going to be bringing you a series of that here in the NBA.
Hey.
So
Woo.
With that being said, we're going to
it.
be going through each of the 6 divisions. Now, I know that in basketball, when it comes to playoffs, it doesn't matter what division you're in. It comes down to just overall record. Whoever has the best records go in. Doesn't matter what division they're from. But at the same time, we wanted to go ahead and do this.
Yeah.
And besides, usually the best team in each division does go to the playoffs. So it's not like it's just completely irrelevant. But with that being said, what?
And plus, depending on like what division certain teams are in, their strength of schedule might be a little bit tougher because they got to play certain teams more times than others. Kind of like in the NFL. So
yeah, that's true. So we're going to go ahead and do the Southwest first. Obviously, this is the Western Conference for this first video. And so we're going to go ahead and kick things off by talking about the New Orleans Pelicans. So what do you think about the Pelicans going into this season?
You know what? They're definitely one of those teams I think is going to be pretty interesting, you know, with the recent trade for Steven Adams, and you know they've made some good moves this offseason. You know, they still got a nice young core there with Lonzo Ball, Zion Williamson. And they just recently, you know, signed Brandon Ingram to an extension as well. So, you know what? I like what they're doing there. I don't know necessarily that they're going to be a playoff team this year, but I look for them to be in at least the running.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
definitely.
And most importantly, they signed Sindarius Thornwell is on their roster right now. So with him on there, they're going places.
But yeah, I mean, nonetheless, I mean, I think the Pelicans are going to be a really interesting team to watch. I'm looking forward to seeing kind of how Zion does in his second year.
Yeah.
Also, you know, how they play without Drew Holiday on the team also. I'm interested to see how that's going to be.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how Eric Bledsoe fits in, too. Because he came over, obviously, from the Bucks. And I think he's going to be a great backup off the bench if that's how they use him. I'm not sure if he's going to start, but I don't think so. I think he'd be a great bench player coming off for Lonzo, simply because Lonzo's not generally that great of a scorer. So I think that Eric Bledsoe, he could be a really good sixth man for this team.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I don't know necessarily that this is a playoff team, but I think, you know, they definitely are trending in the right direction. You know, and they're a young team too. So if, you know, let's say they somehow do make the playoffs this season, man, I'd be happy if I was a Pelicans fan. That's for sure with the way this team is headed. I mean, I feel like they got a lot of value out of all the trades they made this offseason. I mean, you know, the Bucks pretty much gave up the house for Drew Holiday. So, I mean, I like what the Pelicans are doing.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I mean, I think they're a team that's definitely going in the right direction, and I think it all starts when they got Zion. I think he took this team from, or this city really, from just another team that happens to be in the league that, you know, is you can usually count on to be in the lottery, to all of a sudden a team that people are excited to watch. And then, you know, bringing in Steven Adams and Eric Bledsoe and some of these people, and re-signing Brandon Ingram kind of makes you think that maybe they're trying to make a run and trying to do something, which they should, while they got the people that they have.
Yep.
So, it'll be interesting to see how they fit. I feel like if they were in the Eastern Conference, I'd absolutely pick them to go into the playoffs. But over on the West, there's just a lot of good teams, and there's going to be some teams involved this year that even they didn't have to contend with last year, like Golden State.
Like Suns. Well,
like Golden State.
Suns were in it last year, but.
Well, no, but they weren't in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But, I'm saying like Golden State, Phoenix, and then you also include the people that actually were in the playoffs. They're going to have to contend with them also. Maybe not Oklahoma City, but, the team that made it in the 8th seed last year was Portland. But I don't know if they'll be down there again this season. I think Oklahoma City will be probably the only team out of the mix that out of the mix of teams that made the playoffs last year that maybe won't be in it again this year. But everybody else is pretty much just as good or refueled.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see how New Orleans fits into that mix.
Yeah.
Right now,
definitely.
I think they've only gotten better, and I think if they can keep that trend going, then that'll be good. But we'll see what happens.
Yep, definitely.
So, yeah.
Let's
move
on.
Yeah, let's go ahead and move on. The next team that we're going to talk about is the Houston Rockets, since we mentioned them before. Obviously, speaking of people making trades, Houston Rockets just acquired John Wall in a trade for what's his nuts?
John Wall and a first rounder.
John Wall for Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, they signed Boogie Cousins over the offseason. They also had another trade with the Ariza stuff, and they lost what is that guy's name that's on Portland now? The big guy. Covington, yeah. So they no longer have Covington on the team. But, again, here's another team that I think is going to be contending. A lot of it, to me, is going to depend on how things go with... Well, first of all, is James Harden going to stay in Houston? If he leaves, obviously that's going to change what this team's going to look like extremely fast. And then, can John Wall stay healthy? If John Wall can stay healthy as well as James Harden stays in Houston, I think they might be better than they were.
Legit. Yeah.
I think they might be better, but I also don't know how that's going to work because, James Harden is a bit of a ball hog. John Wall usually plays best when he has the ball in his hands, and Boogie Cousins is going to want his time to shine. And so I feel like you got three pretty pig-headed individuals there, and I don't know, plus a new coach. But at the same time, if you're just looking at it on paper, and then you got the returning people, of course, like P.J. Tucker and Ben McLemore.
Eric Gordon.
Yep, and then, Eric Gordon, House, too. Daniel House, Gerald Green, he's healthy again. You just got a lot of interesting players. And then they also got DeMar Carroll on their team as well now.
Yep.
So I really think Houston's going to be interesting, and I kind of hope that they do well. I think, just looking at this roster, they should be in the playoffs, but depending on who stays healthy and what happens, they could be one of those teams fighting with like the New Orleans and the Phoenixes and teams like that for around the last spot. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah, the way I kind of see the Rockets is, if James Harden stays, and John Wall stays healthy, I mean, I kind of see it the same way you do, but if James Harden stays and then John Wall manages to stay healthy, because, I mean, from what I've seen so far this preseason, it doesn't seem like John Wall's lost a step at all.
Yeah.
He is playing some good ball, as well as DeMarcus Cousins. Both those guys are balling.
So if they, I mean, it could easily, depending on, like he said, if people stay healthy, they could be a team that's fighting with the Clippers and the Nuggets for second, third area.
Yeah.
I mean, based on last year's thing. But they could be fighting for the 2, 3, maybe even 1.
Probably
not 1, but.
Let's just say if things go the way I think the Rockets are. I mean, I think looking at this, I mean, it's beginning to make a little bit more sense now because it's actually working out. John Wall's playing good, actually looks good, as well as, bringing in DeMarcus Cousins. I wonder if this is all just a thing to try and keep Harden around. I mean, from how these guys are playing, I don't know if he should be quick to leave,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if he stays there, they're a contender.
Yeah,
definitely.
For sure. I agree.
Managing to stay healthy, that is. If they can stay healthy, that's the main question that you have with this team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really going to come down to injuries, but you can say that for a lot of teams because, I mean, a lot of people coming into this season were like, holy crap, Golden State, and now one injury to Klay Thompson, and everybody's like, well, I think they'll compete, but I don't know about when. Before that, people were saying, well, Golden State, they could easily be one of the top teams again. So we'll have to see what ends up happening. Injuries, just like every other team, we'll have to see. But I think if I hope Houston can stay healthy, because I'd really like to see how this team plays with those guys. And also, I like to see John Wall actually be able to compete and stuff because, I mean,
he's just been struck with bad luck.
Yeah, but he's a really good player, and you want to see the good players do well and be able to stay healthy and not have their career shortened due to injuries and stuff because that sucks. But hopefully, if all goes well, I look for the Rockets to be not an easy out, which I don't think they have been in quite a few years now, just an easy out. But I look for that to not change. I mean, if everybody stays healthy and are playing at the level of their potential, they could easily be maybe a little bit better this year than they were before.
Yeah, I would agree.
So, we'll see though. All right, let's move on to the next team. Up next, we're going to talk about the San Antonio Spurs. This team is kind of weird and kind of difficult because I feel like they got some players and I feel like they should be able to compete, but last season was really difficult. I know that there was some injuries, but there wasn't a ton, and I just feel like they should be better than they are. But at the same time, I mean, it's Popovich. So I feel like to just completely count them out is a big mistake. So I'm going to say with this team moving forward, you got a lot of really solid players on this team. DeJounte Murray is an up-and-coming guy, and you got DeRozan, Patty Mills still, yeah. And then DeMar DeRozan and Eubanks is looking pretty good, right? I think it's Eubanks.
He's not bad.
Yeah, Trey Lyles.
Trey Lyles is solid.
Yeah, so, I mean, you got players, and then obviously
Bellinelli, he's getting older, but he can still shoot.
I think I heard Bellinelli went back to Europe to play.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
But then, of course, you got Aldridge, too, which there was some talks about Aldridge being traded at the beginning of this year. He's still on the team, to what I know, and we'll see if they do end up trading him. Again, this is preseason, so we can't really speak to who's going to be on the team and who's not.
Yeah.
But if all things go according to plan, it'll be interesting to see. Again, you got Greg Popovich, one of the greatest NBA coaches of this era, at least our era, and I don't expect the Spurs to just be junk. I think last year was kind of well, I guess the last couple years, because they haven't really had a great team in a while. But I don't expect that to be long. And if it is, I wouldn't be surprised if Popovich steps down before too long.
I mean, me personally,
big
I don't
Spurs
necessarily...
fan.
What?
Big Spurs fan over here.
No. But nonetheless, I mean, let's get into it. My personal opinion on this team, I think this team's closer to a rebuild than they are contending.
Oh, and Rudy Gay. Don't forget about Rudy.
Well, Rudy Gay's solid, but he's getting on the older side. So,
yeah, that's true.
I don't look at what they have now and think serious championship contender, unfortunately. I think DeMar DeRozan, DeMar DeRozan is solid, but I don't think he's going to be able to carry them to the playoffs. He hasn't been able to these last couple seasons.
Yeah.
So, and looking at the West now, I just don't see them making it. Mm-hmm. I don't think they have enough. It's going to be a tough sledding for them, I think.
Yeah.
But, like you said, I could see them easily being one of those teams that's on the edge of making the playoffs, like nearly, but not necessarily making it.
Yeah, I could see them fighting for one of the last seeds. But again, there's just so many difficult teams in the West, and it's sad. Because when I look at this roster, I think, boy, they should be hell to deal with. But the roster didn't change that much since last season, and they weren't hell to deal with last year.
No.
So we'll see what happens with them. But let's go ahead and get on to the next team.
What about
up next, we're going to talk about the Memphis Grizzlies. And I know Bennett's been itching to talk about Memphis because he's a big fan of the star of the show, Mr. Ja Morant. He really likes Ja and really wishes he was on his team.
I don't think there's many teams that wouldn't like to have Ja Morant.
Yeah.
Man, that guy's a beast. I'm a big fan of his, and I liked him coming out of college as well. I thought he was going to be a pretty special player. Mm-hmm. My dad thinks the same way as I do pretty much on that subject. He really likes Ja Morant as well. Pretty sure Bryson likes him too.
I'll take him.
As long if Memphis can start building around him, get him some pieces there, I think Memphis could be good pretty fast. But so far, looking at what they've done, I don't know if they really got any better. I don't know if I see this team being a playoff team. Not with just Ja Morant. If they were to bring in somebody like maybe a DeMar DeRozan or even just DeMar, I bring up DeMar DeRozan because he's been in trade talks and stuff. I think he could be a really nice piece for that team just to get them, to at least a playoff contender. They were last year, but the West has only gotten better. And I look at this roster, and I don't think that they've really improved all that much. So
yeah, there's some good names on here, some solid up and coming guys, but it's just not enough to push them over the hill, unfortunately. Now when you got, guys like Mario Hazanja on here, again, like I said, there's some names of up-and-coming players and stuff, and I know Bennett's a big Ahmad Caver.
What? No. I never even heard of the dude.
Bennett likes that guy's game, but I'm not 100% sold. But
I know.
Bennett sees him competing with LeBron in terms of taking over the best player in the league here.
I know you're a huge Gorgie Dane fan.
Yeah. No, he's a good player though. Gorgie Jang is, or however you say his name. He's a good player on this team, but I just, unfortunately, again, to me, this is another team that's just on the wrong side of the U.S. If they were on the East, they might be able to get into the playoffs and compete sooner. But in the West, I don't even see them being better than New Orleans, unfortunately.
No, I don't. I'm with you on that one. I think New Orleans is going to be good.
And unfortunately, I mean, like he said, unless they get it turned around to a point where they can fix it and get better soon, I mean, you could easily see John Morant becoming the star point guard of another team. Like, I could see him going over to Chicago or something.
Hey, Clippers, maybe you want to call him up?
Well,
I wouldn't be mad at that.
Well, there's a lot of teams that could use his services, but I'm just saying, I mean, I feel like
when the time comes.
I feel like right now, if they don't start getting better, I don't know if he's going to be committed to sticking around.
Yeah, because like I said, though, I mean, I don't think this team is that far from being really good.
Well, I don't think they're far from competing and getting to the playoffs. But I think they're a ways away from actually potentially winning anything in terms of championships.
I think they need to go out there and get John Morant a second star.
Yeah.
That's what needs to happen here.
Yeah.
If they can do that, then this team's a playoff team.
Imagine if they were to get like Giannis on the team. That would be so cool. To see Giannis and Ja Morant on the same team, that would be awesome, I think.
I think that would automatically raise their how I view them, that's for sure.
Yeah. But again, I mean, if they were on the East, I feel like they'd be a lot closer. But because they're in the West, there's just so many teams that you're just like, ooh, yikes.
Yeah, I know.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens, though. All right, let's get into the final team on the list, which is the Dallas Mavericks, the final team in the Southwest. I'll go ahead and start with the Mavericks here. Over the last handful of years, it was rough for them for a little bit. Then, boom, Luka Doncic shows up, and everything changes. Literally everything. And that dude... probably outside of Russell Westbrook, I would say probably Luka Doncic is probably my favorite player in the NBA right now. I just love his game. I think he's going to be one of the best NBA players to ever play. Not just in the NBA right now. I think he's going to be one of the best ones to put on a pair of Nikes or whatever. And I just really, really, really like this team overall. I feel like they got a lot of solid players. Obviously, bringing in Porzingis was huge. At the time, people were criticizing him or whatever because he had that court case pending or whatever. But I ain't heard a single thing about it since.
Who, Kristaps?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I know.
I haven't heard a thing about it since
Probably paid him off.
I haven't heard a thing about it since he first put on the uniform. And then, you got just solid players all around. Josh Richardson, they brought him in. I'm pretty sure, this season. And then also, Hardaway Jr., that dude played outstanding last season. And the funny thing is before that, a lot of people were kind of putting him in the category of maybe a bust. Maybe a decent player, but not nearly as good as people thought he could be. And I guess in some respects, he still kind of is, because I think some people were looking at him as maybe he could be a star player. And I don't necessarily see him being a star player, even after his performance last season in the playoffs. But what I do say is, that guy is somebody that you want to have in terms of just, I kind of put him in like the Kyle Korver, JJ Redick, Seth Curry kind of category of just guys that can just knock down shots. Maybe not Lou Williams, but just kind of in that category of people where you're like, man, if we get this guy, we're getting great offense.
Yeah, generally if he's left open, it's gonna fall.
Yeah.
He's not. Speaking of Seth Curry, the Mavericks actually traded him away to Philadelphia this offseason. Granted, I don't think that was that great of a move. I think Seth Curry wasn't really hurting anything.
No, he was great for the Mavericks.
I don't know if I.
Well, it's all about the contracts. It's all about the contracts, though. Yeah. If they didn't think they could sign him and they didn't want to lose him for nothing, I get that. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying, though, I don't look at Josh Richardson and think, whoa, big upgrade.
No, I don't either, but solid. He's a good player.
Well, I actually don't think they got Josh Richardson in that trade, did they?
No.
No, it wasn't Josh Richardson.
But, I'm pretty sure during the offseason, too, they picked up Willie Cauley-Stein, which I feel like is a great signing for them. Just having another really big, solid defensive player. And Willie Cauley-Stein is somebody that can really rim protect very well,
Yeah.
So I feel like that's an underrated signing that not a lot of people are talking about, but I think it's going to be a huge deal for the Mavericks. Now,
if he can stay healthy, because he's been dealing with some injury problems.
Yeah. Now, well, that's with all these, though, that we're talking about. Like I said when we were talking about the Rockets, what we said about the Rockets goes for really any team.
Yep.
Barring injuries, if they can stay healthy. We can't speak to what's going to happen and who's going to get injured and who's not. But barring injuries, I look for this team to be better than they were last year. I think last year they really got screwed by when Kristaps Porzingis started having his issues with health and stuff. If he would have been healthy, I could have seen them going to the second round and possibly farther. And I think they're not far from getting there this year. I could see them easily being in the Western Conference Finals. I think the Mavericks in general are going to be a title contender moving forward.
Yeah.
I don't see them leaving the title picture anytime soon, as long as they have Luka. And I don't see Luka going anywhere because Dallas is a great city. Mark Cuban is an owner that really cares about putting a winning product out there. And, they're just going to be great. Now, I don't know about winning a championship this year, but I would absolutely say, if I had to guess, I'm going to say the Mavericks will be in the top 4 teams in the regular season this year. I'm going to say top 4. Last year, I think they were 7. Yeah, this year, I'm going to say top 4.
I don't know if I fall in that same line. I think I could see them being a 5. maybe moving up a couple slots, but I don't know if they're gonna be top 4.
Who do you see ahead of them?
I see.
Obviously, the Lakers, probably the Clippers, and the Nuggets.
Yeah, and then
Who else?
I think the Suns are gonna be up in the top 4.
Woo! Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I I just love what they got there, but I mean, we'll see if I end up being right, but I think the Suns got a hell of a lot better.
So you think the Suns are gonna be better, and who else?
Well, I said they were gonna be in the top 5.
You said you could see maybe a 5.
No, I said I said they'll probably be. I said they were gonna move up at least a couple spots, which would mean they were gonna be 5.
Yeah. See now, no way to me. I don't see any way that they're worse than the Suns this year. Now, I'm not saying the Suns couldn't be better, but I don't see them being better than the Mavericks. With that being said, if Houston plays to their capability, I could see them being 4th again, and then the Mavericks. But let's put it this way, they'll be higher than 7. I seriously believe, like I said before, they'll be top 4. I think this year you can put them in the conversation with Mavericks, Lakers, Clippers, and Denver as the best teams in the West. I think the Mavericks can be put in this thing, and anybody that has to play them, good luck.
I just don't know.
I have complete faith in them this year.
I just don't know if they got that much better. That's my problem.
I think Willie Cauley-Stein is a huge pickup. If he's healthy, he's going to be a huge difference maker for this team. I truly 100% believe it.
Well, maybe, but
I 100% believe it. I think the Mavericks last year they were just it was a little bit too early for them. But this year they're not going to be shying away from anything, and Kristaps being healthy is going to be a huge difference. I mean, hell, they played great without him last year for a good portion of the games in the playoffs. Yeah, I see this team being in the second round of the playoffs at the very least. I think they could easily get to the Western Conference Finals. I'm not even kidding. I give them a chance against anybody. Maybe the Lakers would be tough for them, but I give them a chance against the Clippers. I would even probably pick them against the Nuggets. It's all opinion based. It's all opinion based. So
the main reason I picked the Suns to be in the top 4 is just because I like their core with Chris Paul, Ayton, and Booker. I think that Chris Paul makes them a hell of a lot better than they were before.
I agree.
So I may be maybe overreacting, but we'll see what happens. I definitely think that the Suns could easily be a top 4.
Well, it's all opinion based. We'll see what happens. And again, injuries play a big part. An injury to Chris Paul or something like that. I'm just
saying, I look at what Chris Paul did with that Suns team last year and think he could do easily the same thing with the Suns, if not better. I think what he has with the Suns is better than what he had with OKC, and they were a 5 seed last year.
Yeah. We'll see. But this isn't about the Suns, though. This is about the Mavericks.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I like it.
But I truly believe, I'm not even kidding when I say, I truly believe that the Mavericks, I give them a shot against anybody. I have that much faith in this team. Within the next 5 years, they're going to have a championship.
Yeah, well,
I truly believe it. I do think that they could do better in terms of building around their stars. I mean, I look at the roster and I see a bunch of like, oh, okay. You know, Courtney Lee is on the team too. He's another solid player who was injured last year. But I mean, I look at a lot of these people. Trey Burke, there's another one. Trey Burke played huge in the playoffs last year. But I mean, I just look at a lot of these people and I think, okay, not bad, but it could be better. But I think as the years progress and they're more and more competitive, Dallas will become more and more of a free agent target. People will want to play there because Luka's only going to get better. And in the next handful of years, when he is the best player in the NBA, good luck. Because if he doesn't leave Dallas, I see anybody and everybody wanting to go to Dallas to play with him. And I mean, I really think if they don't win, I'm not saying guaranteed championship this year, but I'll go out on a limb and say Western Conference final appearance for the Mavericks this year. So, but anyways, this was a really fun video. This was the Southwest for the NBA breakdowns, and we'll be bringing out obviously 5 more videos of this for you guys, talking about the other divisions in basketball. We know that obviously, you know, the leader of the division doesn't necessarily mean that you're 100% making the playoffs, but generally it does. Usually the best team in each division is involved. You know, like last year, for instance, I believe the Mavericks and the Rockets, they were the only 2 that made it in this conference. But still, I mean, everybody else, the Pelicans, the Grizzlies, and the Spurs, the Pelicans were not too far away, but the Grizzlies and the Spurs weren't even very close. I don't think either of those teams played in the bubble.
No, the Grizzlies did.
Grizzlies did, but
they actually had the 8th seed for most of the year, then gave it up to the Blazers.
Yeah. But anyways, you know, I feel like a lot of these teams weren't really in it, but still, regardless of that, I think this division right here, this particular one, is going to be an interesting one to watch moving forward for sure. And I think you're going to see a little bit of a changing of the guard because, you know, obviously the Spurs have dominated pretty much for many, many years. And now they're kind of, especially once Popovich leaves, which probably isn't too far away, they're kind of falling into obscurity a little bit.
Yeah, like I said, I look at the Spurs and think they're closer to rebuilding than being a championship contender.
Yeah. So, last thing, who's going to be the best team in this thing? And how many teams from this do you think is going to be in the playoff?
I think Rockets and Mavericks will be in the playoffs. But I got Dallas being probably
a higher
the best
seed.
record.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. Although I'm gonna say Dallas and Houston, with Dallas obviously being the best record after what I just was saying about them. So, but yeah. So anyways, we got more videos like this coming out. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, all that fun stuff. With that being said, my name's Bryson.
I'm Bennett.
See you guys in the next video.